Good morning, everyone. My name is Paul Purdue, and I am a nerd, and you are here for the July 2017 Coffee Pot webinar, where today we are talking about portals. Without any further ado, I'm going to press a series of magic buttons that will get me out of here and back into Google Chrome, and I'm going to type demoportals.attorneycomputersystems.com, and we are going to take a little journey. Now, this is a portal for our imaginary law firm, Purdue Law Offices. This is the sign-in screen. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you on a guided tour of a portal that we have written for another client, but where we have changed the names and all the data and everything so that nothing is being exposed. And we've made it look like it's branded as Purdue Law Office. Now, this portal is for a client that does insurance claim bordereau work. That means they aren't the firm that's defending the case. They aren't the one that works for the insurance company. They do work for the insurance company, but to manage those firms that do the work and to manage the litigation of those cases and to manage how the insurance company handles it. That's called bordereau work. Don't ask me what it all means because I really don't fully understand it. I understand it enough for us to have built this portal. And so they wanted to take certain reports that they generate and put them in a portal so that their clients could access them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They needed those reports to be generated kind of like we generate final bills. In other words, they don't get put on the portal until they've been reviewed and finalized. And that was an important aspect for them. So they're generating these reports in their office, and then when they say, yes, they're ready, they get pushed out to the portal where the client can see them. But that wasn't all they wanted. They wanted the client to be able to run what's called a loss run report on their own from the portal. They wanted the client to be able to see a whole bunch of details about these cases, and they wanted the client to see certain documents that were in PracticeMaster and certain emails that were in PracticeMaster that they had deemed to be appropriate to be viewed by the client. What that means, of course, is that there may be lots of documents in PracticeMaster, but only certain documents for certain matters that the client is able to see. Same thing with emails. There may be lots of emails that go back and forth that get stored in PracticeMaster, but they have the ability to simply check a box in that email, in that journal screen, and say, this is one that the client should see. Same thing on the document management screen. This is one that the client should see. Now, we usually will put something here to let people know how to get login information, and that usually has to do with calling or emailing somebody at the firm to get signed up as a user of the portal, although we do also have technology that we've developed that allows people to simply sign up for portal access online. Of course, that means that we're going to grant it instantly, whereas the other would imply that the firm has to approve it. It's important to note that there are a lot of things that we can do online in a portal, and not all of them are going to be demonstrated here. I'm sure there are very few, if any, people attending today or listening to this after it's been recorded that do insurance bordereau work. That's kind of a very, very specialized area. And so try and look at this from the perspective of what can we do, what can we put out there for our clients. Let's go take a look. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. And first thing it does is it asks me which program. Now, program in this world of insurance bordereau is a client, okay? And so it's important to note that we can write a portal that allows your clients, the end users that need access to this portal, to access whatever matters or whatever clients they need. Now, let's take a look at that real quick. I'm going to go into our demo system where we've kind of mocked up something to show you how you give people access to a portal. So let's get in there. And we're just going to go into PracticeMaster real quick, sign in as Ron, and I'm going to pull up the Paul Purdue record in here. And you will notice when we get into the contact system and pull up Paul Purdue, that there's an additional tab over here. It's this portal access tab. And in our system, or at least the way it is developed for this demo, we have a password. That's not the real password, so don't go to the demo portal and try and sign in with that. A web report access, that's what that really means, is what clients can they access. And we also have an admin switch that is currently in an off state. Actually, it's checked here, but I'm showing it to you in an off state. And that simply means that you can sign somebody up from the firm as an administrator of the portal, and they can do certain things and see certain things in the portal that others cannot. It's a way, in this example, to delete some of these bordereaux out of the portal or delete some of the documents out of the portal from the portal. But the important thing to know is that you can grant access to a client. So in this example, I have granted access to client 30 and client 28 all matters, meaning 30.01, 30.02, 28.01, 28.02, whatever. But you can also grant access to a specific matter by typing it. So in my example, I have granted access to every matter for client 30, every matter for client 28, matter 2 for client 29, and matter 4 for client 29. Okay, that's important to know, because sometimes the information that you want to show to your clients crosses the boundaries of clients, and sometimes it's just a certain matter. Bob from this client, we want to give them access to the portal, but only for this one matter, not for all the matters for that client. So let's go back to the portal. And so this is where we would select, if I had signed in as a user that had access to multiple clients, this is where we would see that happening, and this is where we would have more than one client to select a program to enter to look at that program's information. Again, keep in mind, we're looking at stuff here that's specific to doing bordereau work. If you're a patent firm and you want to give people access to information about the maintenance of foreign trademarks, that's the kind of information we'd see in here. If you're an insurance defense firm and you want to give access to your clients to information about their claims and statuses and things like that, then that's the information we'd see in here. Now, the first screen we have is reports. These are those bordereau reports that I mentioned that the client generates for their clients and then puts into the portal, finalizes, if you will, when they're ready, and puts them into the portal. When I click on one, I can either view the file right here, or I can download the report, and it comes in down here. We have that actually disabled here in the demo. Same thing for spreadsheets, except you can't view the spreadsheet, you can just download it. So I can show you this. We'll just go ahead and download this file. And it pops up right down there, just like you'd see a download pop up in Internet Explorer or Chrome. It goes to your downloads directory. It does everything your browser would let you do as far as downloading a file. Now, the reason we have reports and spreadsheets, again, this client needed their bordereau report to look nice and be printable and go to the client in a very graphically oriented, printable sort of orientation. But the client also had a need to see all those records that would be in the bordereau in a spreadsheet form, where it's all one line and it's more of a data-oriented format. So if we were to open one of these, it'll open right up in Excel, because that's what my computer uses to open Excel spreadsheets. And so here we have the same information that would be in a bordereau, but we have it in a spreadsheet format, because that's what the client wanted their clients to have. Here's where we've got the part that takes a loss run report, which is a very specialized report, and lets the client run it themselves. So I can say, well, I want to see a loss run report for this insured. It'll show me all the insured on this program. We only have Acme Title. We're using the Roadrunner theme. We have Acme Title, Anvil Title, and some other Roadrunner themed company. So it's a Roadrunner theme sample data today. And I'm going to say that I want to run this from 2009 to 2017, and I can just generate it here, and it'll show up down there. That's it. If I decide I like that report, I can then email it to myself or to myself and other people by putting semicolons and spaces and other email addresses, or email it to somebody totally different altogether. Again, understanding what the bordereau reports and what these fields mean is not necessary. The point is that a client can come into the system because we've designed it to let them generate this report with whatever variables they want and then email it to themselves. And we can do that for you, for your area of practice, to provide the information you want to your clients. And then finally, we get into claim info. And this is information that's coming straight from PracticeMaster. So if we looked at matter 30.0000000 and went into PracticeMaster, we would find all of this information, all of these dates, the insured firm size, the year of account, defense outside limits, etc. All this stuff that is part of the PracticeMaster bordereau system for this client. They also have something called reserves. There's a tab in PracticeMaster in the client screen which holds this reserve information, and this is then being replicated out to the portal. They track payments that come from the insurance company to the firm that's managing the bordereaux, payments that go from the insurance company to the defense firm, payments that go from the insurance company to other people. They track those, and those are all listed in PracticeMaster, and therefore they show up here on the bordereau, or on the portal. These are journal records. So this, for instance, is an email. Oh, sorry. You're not supposed to see that. We didn't get that fixed in our demo system. This is the email that exists. And this is simply a journaled email record that's been marked in such a way in PracticeMaster to let it be exposed to the client in the portal. And so therefore, when the client goes to the journal section of the claim info and clicks on view email for that email, they get that email. This particular matter, if you look back at PracticeMaster, could have dozens or hundreds or thousands of emails tagged to it, but only these three have been identified in PracticeMaster as those that should be exposed to the client in the portal. Same thing with documents. If we look at documents, we'll look at this first one, and it says it's not available. That's what was supposed to happen with that email. This document is not available in the demo portal. But if we look at the second one, I'm going to cross my fingers here because I think the second one is the one that is here. There we go. That simply downloads. And if I were to click on it, bam, the same thing that would, boom, that's no good. Huh, okay. So I guess we messed with something a little bit too much when we were playing this morning. But when you click on it, it will load, just like that spreadsheet loaded. Only a PDF will typically load in the browser. You can also simply right-click on it and choose to open it with your PDF software, or you can go into your downloads folder and open it up. It has been downloaded, and clicking on it simply causes it to display. Now, I think it's important to note that we've got a handful of these portals out there, and obviously we want to do more. Some of the things we've done them for have to do with simply providing information to the client. We had a foreclosure firm that needed to provide information on their cases to their clients. They were tired of getting calls every day. What's the status of this foreclosure? What's the status of that? This happened to be a foreclosure firm that dealt with smaller banks, because if you've dealt at all in the foreclosure arena, you know that foreclosure banks that do a lot of foreclosures usually have their own portals that they want the law firm to push data to. These were all small banks that instead wanted a place that they could go that the law firm provided that would give them the information that the bigger banks were usually forcing the law firms to push into their portal. So we've got it for that. We've got this bordereau one. We've got a couple others that display information. And we've just developed one that's about to be opened up to this firm's general clientele to process payments. Now, if you're using the ProPay payment mechanism within Tabs, then you know that you can already send somebody to a website and have them put payment information in, but it's very rudimentary. It takes them to a screen that says, tell me how much you're paying, tell me which invoice you're paying, and then prompts them for their credit card details. This client wanted something where that was much more detailed. They needed to be able to replenish trust. They needed to be able to show the client all the outstanding invoices for all the matters that they had access to, not just pay one at a time, not just pay the whole balance at a time, but they wanted them to be able to say, oh, I see that I have 12 outstanding invoices and I want to pay all of them except for this one that's 10 months old because we aren't happy about that one that's 10 months old. And so they can pay certain invoices and see all their invoice detail. And that particular portal also provides certain documents to the client, certain emails to the client, and lets them look at copies of their bills. So the sky is virtually the limit as far as what we can do. Now, a little bit of background on how this works. There is a piece of software that gets loaded on your server, your STI server. It will work with any version of the software. It will work with regular multi-user, single user, Platinum or Platinum SQL. It does not require Platinum SQL to work. You can have either version of Platinum and even multi-user, even single user if you wanted. There's a piece of software that goes on that server that pushes information from your firm's network, from your computer, from your server to our portal server on a regularly scheduled cycle. Now for this bordereau client, I believe it's done every hour or two. I have another client where it's pushed out every, that one that I described about the payments being processed, that's going to be pushed out every night. In other words, if you go to pay a bill that you received today, you won't be able to do that until tomorrow because that's the way they wanted it. We have another client that has it run every 5 minutes. They happen to have a server that their STI software is on, that their Tabs3 PracticeMaster software is on, that has something like 32 cores, CPUs, and an outrageous amount of RAM, and it's very little draw to run this literally around the clock. In fact, what happens is it runs the routines to push all the data that's necessary out to the portal, waits 120 seconds, and then does the whole thing all over again. So that piece of software resides on your server and it pushes the data to our portal server, and that's pretty much it. Our portal server accepts that data, encrypts it, puts it in a state where it's totally protected, and then as it's being used, it's unencrypted and presented to the user. Now, I want to explain, we don't hold all the documents on our server. That would get to be expensive on ours and your part. So when somebody requests a document that's listed, like we're looking at right now, it actually makes a call back to your server. It takes about 10 seconds to make that connection and start the download of the document. And so the documents stay on your server. They do not get moved over to our server. The emails do end up on our server, and all the data does. And that's pretty much how it works. Portals can run the gamut of cost. You can get into a 10, 15, 20, and more $1,000 portal. And some of the simple portal work that we've done has been in the $5,000 to $10,000 range. I think it's a pretty fair bet to say that if you're going to get into a portal like this, that it is not something that's going to be done, let's say, for under $4,000 or $5,000, in case you're wondering about cost. Now, I also want to make a distinction. This is different than dashboards, and we're just finishing up our dashboard portal, if you will. And that's going to use something called Microsoft's Power BI to push information from your server so that people, and these are usually used by people within a firm. It's not to push information from PracticeMaster. It's set information, like how many billable hours did everybody have last week, or what is the percentage of billed to worked. You know, how much are people working, and then how much are people actually billing in those periods? What's our receipts? What's our, you know, you can show anything in a portal. That in a dashboard. Dashboards are usually KPI, key performance indicators. They're usually things that are used internally to manage the firm, cash receipts, accounting information, a lot of time and realization information, a lot of billing information. And we are going to have a webinar on our portal offering in 2 months. That's scheduled for 2 months from now. We're just wrapping up that project, and we'll be ready to demo it by then. A portal is instead usually something that's geared toward a client. In other words, if you're a client of ours, if you're a law firm and you have information that you want to present to your clients so that they can see or give you information round the clock, then a portal is probably what you want. And that is all I have. You will get a follow-up from me if you're attending this live. But if you are not and you're seeing it recorded later and you'd like more information on portals, you can always email me at, I believe the email address that Brad, our post-production guy, will put on the screen right now is paul@paulpurdue.com. Paul@paulpurdue, like the school, not the chicken, P-U-R-D-U-E, paul@paulpurdue.com. So any questions you have about portals, just let me know. And of course, it would not be a Coffee Pot webinar if I did not take you to our website, which is attorneycomputersystems.com. Notice the emphasis on that last S in the word systems. If you don't have it, you won't get there. And Patty has a question, so before we get into this, let's get that question.
Can you say again what you estimate a monthly charge would be for a portal?
Well,
you didn't say a monthly charge, you just said the overall charge.
Yeah.
So this would be a monthly charge for a portal.
Well, we do charge to host the portal, and it varies from $100 to $200 a month, depending on the complexity of what's being stored and how often it's being accessed. What I did originally say was that we've had portals in a $5,000 to $10,000 range, we've had them in a $10,000 to $20,000 range, and we've had them cost more than $20,000, more than $30,000. It depends on really what the client wants and how much they want to get out there to their clients and how many hoops we have to jump through to do it. I will say that the more expensive portals were portals that we did early on. But we learn a lot as we do these things. So we're now able to do a portal much quicker than we could have when we did the first one, because we had never done a portal before and we learned a lot. So our portals are getting less and less expensive as we go, because we are developing things that we can reuse. So that's that. Any more questions, Patty?
Yeah. Karen would like to see what it looks like in PracticeMaster. Where would you click to make a document available?
Well, I can show you that in theory. I don't have a copy of the PracticeMaster that drives this portal. This demo portal is kind of a static portal. But if we were to go into the document management screen and pull up a document, I guess we got to find a client that's got a document. Oh, I'm in the contact system. Yeah, let me get into the client screen and go to Michael Larson's record and go to documents. And all we do, I mean, I'm pretty sure that most of you know that PracticeMaster is extremely flexible. So all we do is we go and add a field over here, a checkbox that says exposed to client. It's really just a field that we add that gets put wherever you want. So it doesn't matter where it is for that client. It's where you want it, and it's what you want to call it. And if you don't want that, you don't have to have it. If you say every document should be exposed to the client, then so be it. Or maybe you have different levels of access. Here's a new one that no one's ever asked for, but maybe you say, well, we want certain people to be able to access this document, but not others, and so you would grant 2 levels of access. That would certainly be something we could do. So the answer to your question is, it would be right about here, and it would just be a checkbox with text that says exposed to client. Any more questions, Patty? No more questions. Okay, very good. Back over here. So this is Attorney Computer Systems. If you hover over here or just click on the word videos, you will see all of our videos. We have 4 of them that are live events. You are currently in a Coffee Pot webinar. We also have our 3 virtual user group meetings, Tabs3, PracticeMaster, and World Docs. We also have our pre-recorded videos. Mary Jo has her eBytes video series, short little 3, 4, 5 minute videos on very cool, succinct things that we have found that we can explain very quickly. And then we have the Paul and Mary Jo show, which is a longer format, broader sort of presentation, where we'll take something that's more in depth and we'll dig deep into it and explain exactly how it works, taking 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes to do so. If we go to one of our live events, we'll find that we have a description of the actual Coffee Pot webinar series, then a listing that shows when the next one is, and 2 links to register, and a description of what it is that we're talking about at that point. These 2 links, by the way, are the same. People often wonder, which one should I use? Doesn't matter. It takes you to the same place. And then as you scroll down, you will see information and recorded versions of every other webinar that we've done, every Tabs3 virtual user group meeting, every Coffee Pot webinar, all sorts of information there. So please take advantage of this. It's available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And there are literally hundreds, if not, we're getting close to the point where we have over 1,000 videos out there. So maybe we'll have a party when that happens. Okay, that's it for today, everybody. Have a good rest of the day and a good rest of the month, and we will see you in August. Thanks. Bye-bye.